Welcome to part 7 of drawing realistic landscape. This is the final tutorial. I basically have broken down my Photoshop layer into layers. I have the landscape here on one layer. I have some rock silhouettes. I have a sort of tree silhouette and a figure silhouette to kind of frame the right side. It wouldn't make sense to, because of the strong light source, to have maybe necessarily an exact silhouette on the right kind of framing. So one way to kind of frame is using a figure in the foreground as a shadow. And so I have, a start of some shrubbery in the front there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my top layer here, which is just a new layer. I haven't named or anything. And I'm going to paint in just a larger area here of just basically a silhouette of where maybe this figure's standing on. Now I figured this figure had like a little, maybe a sack on the side there he was holding. So basically I just want to bring the silhouette a little bit farther into the right here. And then what I want to do is add some more visible detail of like some blades of grass in the foreground, as if he's on an area, a grassy area, maybe a hill or something. And this blades of grass could actually continue over here on the side, and even over here, and break the whole, front picture plane. I mean, this is the cool thing about setting up on your own layer. Again, another advantage working digitally versus traditional is that you can do this. You can set up. Now what you can do in a traditional landscape is you can, on paper, is you can do quick cutouts. I've done this in the past where I've kind of cut out a shape to kind of test it out before I draw it in. Of course, you can always draw in pencil first and kind of map everything out before you start inking. So sorry for all the, hey, digital works better than traditional sort of commentary. I do like working traditional, but for this now, this last stroke here, I just realized create a tangent. This is something you want to be aware of. Basically, I'm going to zoom in on this area. The blade of grass lined up with the line of the rock here. I'm going to undo a couple of these last ones. I didn't see that. And you just want to be careful of that. Tangents can become very problematic. I was kind of working on that with a mountain here in the distance. That you just don't want the line to line up with another line. It tends to flatten out this space. So just kind of bring in some larger blades of grass here in the foreground. There we go. And kind of mix it up and then kind of fill in this area a little bit. Now I don't have to connect it to the rock over here. I think it's nice to have a little bit of a gap visually. But I could have, to connect them both on both sides, I could have some, blades of grass over here by the tree. You just kind of show that this area here in the foreground is kind of the same as the figure on the side here. Some of these strokes are a little bit big. I'm going to undo a couple of these and make them just a little bit smaller, maybe just to kind of suggest some smaller little bits of grass here. But this is pretty, I mean, I might finesse some more. You can always finesse. But overall, compositionally, it's working really well. We've got, again, the direction is on a new layer here. And change my color to red just to point out some stuff. So first of all, we got the directional light going the correct way. It's coming this way. So pretty much have shadow tree here in the foreground. We have shadow rocks. We have some, cliff areas. Here I added a lot more shadow just because it made sense and include that as it came across. I could see more shadow continuing in this rock here in the foreground. I'm almost tempted to do that right now, but I think I'll do that. We're going to call this last tutorial, but that's something I would probably refine. Maybe add a little shadow there. Let me turn off the red layer. One thing that's nice, again, working digitally, is you can flip your canvas, and I've set up a hotkey for this. But you can do this with your drawing by just flipping it, rotating it, looking in the mirror. It's kind of the same idea. You're just checking to make sure that the composition works overall. I mean, the main thing in here is that the figure leads us into the picture plane, kind of, directional, and we're kind of pushed that way with the water line here, the water line here, the water line here. So it's got a good solid composition. We have the arch here to kind of frame kind of where we're going, and this line goes back here to the distance. I could include maybe some distant like mountain or something. Another one here, maybe some clouds or something. So that's some possibilities. I also kind of curious about what to do back here. I did think about having maybe a strong sun or something, but I always feel like suns or moons look kind of cliche in drawing. So I think I won't put in a sun or moon, but maybe I'll hint at some other, another hill or something back here. That could be a possibility. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this tutorial, this series on the drawing landscape, realistic landscape. Until next time, see you soon at Adobe Photoshop. Cheers!